Welcome to AI Future Leaders. Today we are sitting with Victoria Vojnovich, discussing trends in AI and the workforce transformation.
Welcome, Victoria. Welcome to AI Future Leaders. Great to have you.
Hi, Alina. It's great to be here.
If you could introduce yourself a bit.
Absolutely. So my name is Victoria Vojnovich. I am honored to be one of your strategic advisors to AI Future Leaders.
Thank you.
Um, I live in Raleigh, North Carolina in the US, and I have considered myself all in on AI. So I have been here for most of my life since university. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, but I have really shifted my work now to transformation and adult learning and ways that we can come together and really transform. So I am finishing, hopefully this month, my dissertation at North Carolina State University. I will receive a PhD in adult and lifelong education, and my focus is future of work, specifically because dissertations are a very small thing that you know
Mhm.
everything about. My very small area is women, corporate women executives, and what their future of work looks like, especially in this AI era.
Which is why we are having this discussion today. AI is transforming how we work, it's transforming how we approach AI, how we work with AI, and it is impacting women. Many executives also believe that AI success is about better models or better tools and algorithms. But in reality, it's about that human, it's about the ways that we are working, the way that we are leveraging AI. And you have spoken about AI as a potential great equalizer. If you could tell us a bit more about that.
Sure. So there's a couple of things. First of all, let's start with facts because facts are our friends, and that'll frame our conversation. And I'll start with a sad fact. Right now, in the industry, only 20%, 22% to be exact, of all roles, all AI roles globally are filled with women.
Hmm.
And you've heard me say this before, but I'll say it for our listeners. If you do not have a seat at the table, you are on the menu. There's been a lot published about bias in AI. There's
Mm-hmm.
especially gender bias. We know that the types of roles that AI is replacing, that agents are being built to do, are ones that are more typically held by women. And rather than move from a place of fear, I want us to move from a place of curiosity and step into power. So that's why this is so important to me. Yes, the more administrative roles that are out there, that work is going to be covered to a large part by agents. But what is very interesting, if you kind of flip it around, is the World Economic Forum has posted its key skills for 2030, right? So we're 2025, 2030. What are we going to build in the next 5 years? First and foremost, AI. Every person in every role, in every company, everywhere needs to have AI grounding. Now, that might scare some people who say, well, I'm not good at math or I don't have a degree in computer
Yeah.
science. And the reality is, we need to again move from that place of fear to step into a place of potential. And one of the things that brought me to AI Future Leaders and brought me, and in our first conversation, I talked about how important it was for us to have low barriers to entry in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And we have that. I love some of the work that we're putting out as an organization that says, learn vibe coding, learn, a very introduction to machine learning, introduction to agents. We have low barriers of entry. So my goal is for women to understand that from where they are today to shift into AI, it isn't running through a brick wall. It's actually opening the door and stepping through. And if we can get you to step through, we can take you there. And the other thing is that you're not alone. There are tons of resources and abilities. I spoke with a woman just last week, and she said, look, I'm a salesperson. I don't know anything about AI. I've been a salesperson my whole life. I said, well, let's talk about how AI can help you as a salesperson. and just being able to relieve some of the work so that you can use your skill, which is actually selling, not filling out forms, not submitting documents to your boss. Let AI handle that part and you focus on the selling. Because you're right, one of the things that is really important and where my AI focus has been is what's called human-centric AI and a human-centric AI leadership, where we use human skills where humans should be using human skills, and we use AI skills where things that can be handled by machines. One is not entirely without the other. In fact, they're both somewhat codependent in order for us to continue to move forward and transform. So that's kind of my space. That's the platform I'd like to focus on, and just how building some of those skills. So if you'd like, I can give you a couple of examples.
Yeah,
The
sure.
first one, like I said, everybody needs to know AI. That doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your position, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You need to know something about AI. But the next tier of skills, you'd be surprised how many of them actually Pew Research, who does a lot of research, says women are actually better at than others. Um, Things like curiosity, things like lifelong learning, things like strategic thinking. And one of the biggest is adaptability and flexibility. You know, when we think about our lives, if you're able to hold a job, raise kids, take care of aging parents, go to dance recitals, go to ball games, get your kids to the doctor, get home on time, take care of managing a house, you're pretty adaptable and flexible. And that is a key skill. And, I've talked to business leaders and I've said, we talk about AI as this technical transformation, which it is. There is a huge technology transformation, but we've been through a lot of technology transformations in our lifetimes.
Yeah,
This
many
is
are
the first,
saying this is another one of those bubbles.
it
Is
is a bubble.
AI a huge hype? Many are saying AI is not actually delivering value, and many leaders are failing to see that value. But I believe that maybe they are not going after the right use cases and potentially not measuring the right impact. And you beat me to it, but the skills that are going to be most important in the next 3 to 5 years, they're not going to be those technical skills. It's going to be the human aspect, the empathy, and what you just said. Women are very good at that empathy, that being creative, being curious, and to
Absolutely.
get into the field of AI, it's not necessarily upskilling in the technical side. And what organizations are doing right now, they are upskilling their tech teams.
They
Because,
are. And,
yes,
and,
they are.
and and there is some technical upskilling, but it's not this steep incline that's what I think what most people don't understand. They think that it's this massively steep incline that is really hard to get to. It's actually a slighter slope, and you can step into it a little bit at a time. Not everybody who works in AI needs to be a coder. Yes, we need women who can write code. I'm not going to say we don't.
Yeah.
We need women who know and understand Python and can go in there and bang out some code. Absolutely. We also need strategists. We need people who can tell a story through AI so that AI becomes a piece of the story, not the story itself and not something on the sidelines. We need people who are able to take data that's generated from AI and make the next level of decisions. All those skills women are actually pretty good at. And so there is, I don't think we do it justice to say that there isn't technical transformation. There is. But what you said is really true. So many companies are focusing only on the technical transformation. What about the transformation of my colleague at work might be an agent? It might not be a person. How do I work with that person? How do I have career growth knowing that that I have to rely on a machine to give me information to do my job? So there's a whole lot of trust building. There's a whole lot of operating model.
Mhm.
I recently spoke on another podcast where I said any company that goes into 2026 without a rock solid operating model, all AI is going to do is accelerate how and uncover that lack of operating model. It's going to show where all the fissures are in your company. So there are a lot of pieces when you say stuff isn't working. I think stuff isn't working not necessarily because the code isn't right, as you said, but I believe the biggest transformation in AI is in leadership, and leaders are not re-looking at their organizations. They're not looking at their operating model. They're not looking at those foundational pieces of business that require just as much a transformation as anything else.
That actually is interesting. What do you think leaders, those in leadership roles, who is accountable when those systems fail? Many of us are building those AI systems, but the governance piece and the ethics piece, it's often an afterthought. We run after the technology, but we do not put the right guardrails.
And I think you hit it exactly. I think that's why I really believe that. So there is this thinking that sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. And I think when AI really took off last year, everybody wanted to race out of the gate, but this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And sometimes if you're sprinting right out of the gate, you run out of gas before you start to see any of the value. Some of the pieces of this, there's definitely a need to go slow to go fast. There is a need to look at your operating model. There is a need to look at HR. So I spoke at a CIO conference and I told these CIOs, your best friend in the C-suite right now is the chief people officer. And I saw a lot of faces that said, you got to be kidding me. We're technical people. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And the role of every one of your technical people has shifted momentously. And if you are not aligned with your chief people officer and how these folks are going to be measured and what their KPIs are going to be and what the scope of their work is going to be, you're going to end up losing. And so, but the chief people officer plays such a huge role in just the operating model of the company. And when I talk about the great equalizer, I think there's equalizing on many levels. So there is the gender equality, which I believe women have these skills, these future forward skills that we need to bring to the table. I think there are organizational equity as well, right? In some companies, the salespeople are kind of sitting at the top of the heap and everybody's below them, right? And in some cases, what are considered traditional back office teams, maybe procurement, maybe CIO office, maybe finance and some of these other skills. That's where these agents, that's where a lot of the building is going to happen for these agents. And it's that information which is going to inform all the front office skills. So you've got to be able to work better and not operate in silos. You can't just show up to procurement at the end and say, build me an agent to do this. It's got to be, why are we building it? What are we going to do with the data? How do your teams actively connect and work with our teams to bring this forward? So I think you're right. You're right on with, you know, people saying, well, stuff isn't working. It's like, well, maybe the agent itself is working. Maybe the system that was around the agent wasn't built to support the agent.
Yep. At the AI Future Leaders, we often talk about AI leadership as the new executive
Mm-hmm.
discipline and leading and going forward. And we do believe that you need that operating model and you need that infrastructure. And I recently talked to someone, a colleague from another company, who said, well, we built this amazing new tool. And I said, okay, tell me about your architecture. Well, we don't have an architecture, we just built it. So what did you
Yep.
actually do? Well, we put these agents together, they're doing something. But
Mm-hmm.
where's the governance? Where's the guardrails? And
Yep.
well, it got them thinking. So, if any advice you could actually tell our viewers, especially as we are going into 2026,
Mm-hmm.
if you could sum it up in a couple words.
Yeah, so I think we have to stop doing ready, fire, aim. And we have to figure out what we're aiming for before we start running, right? There's everybody's lined up in the starting blocks ready to, and I have heard this from so many clients in my day job, but also people that I work with in a consulting where they say, this is the year we have to show real value in AI. And you ask the same questions that you just asked. Where's your architecture? Where's your operating model? How have you set yourself up to succeed? Where have you strategically put humans where humans should be and put agents where agents should be? And you hear the same answers. Well, we built this agent to do this, and we built this agent to do that. And it is very enticing. It is very enticing with the tools, with the AI tools that are out there to just go and build, right? But if you think about it, if you built a wagon and your operating model requires you to have a car, all you've done is build the fanciest wagon. It's not going to get you where you need to be. And so when we talk about ethics and guardrails and guidelines and governance, that is just such a huge piece. And I can hear people saying, well, that's going to slow me down and I can't do that because my management expects to see acceleration. What we have to think about is if you take the time to build that foundational material in the first couple months of the year, you're going to see tremendous progress by the end of the year. If you don't, you may have built the best looking wagon in the bunch, but everybody's driving a car.
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. It was great to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alina. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking more.
Thank you.